This is the Radio Realtors.
I sold the house.
This is a home. This is a place to live. This is a place to live.
Northern California's longest running show on real estate.
Real estate is not just buying and selling houses.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent? Real estate agent?
I love real estate.
Ever since I laid eyes on that house, I wanted it.
The Radio Realtors.
I love every second.
Now, here's your host, Robert Lewis with eXp Realty.
Let's go and sell some homes.
Welcome to the Radio Realtors. We are Northern California's #1 real estate radio show, proudly coming to you live from the EquityProtect.com studios. And like I've been telling you folks, EquityProtect is the only company that completely stops deed fraud and home title theft. The co-founders Ryan Marshall and Jim Adams started the company because they wanted to help people prevent this from happening, not just monitor your title. And they do monitor and scan and do all those things, but you don't pay for their monitoring. If they just need to monitor your title, let's say you're low risk, they will monitor for free. But if you're in a medium to high risk, you need their full protection coverage, and they will physically prevent deed theft and home title fraud and equity theft and home stealing from happening to you. They do it 365 days a year, 24/7. You can get that free risk assessment at EquityProtect.com. If you're medium to high risk, you can sign up for their full coverage and get a 30% discount from the Radio Realtors with the discount code PROTECTME30. That's PROTECTME30. Go to EquityProtect.com and please tell them that the Radio Realtors sent you. And if you've got a question for us, a comment, or you're just ready to hire the Radio Realtors to help you sell your home or buy a home, you can reach me, Robert Lewis, directly on our Radio Realtors hotline at 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Or you can live chat with a member of my team 24/7 on my website at radiorealtors.com. That's radiorealtors.com. We have a great show today. It's all about equity. So we're going to talk about home equity, what it is and why it matters, and how to protect it. And then we're going to do an interview with Jim Adams, the co-founder and president of EquityProtect. And he's going to tell you all about his company and what they do to completely prevent title theft. And I'm telling you, it's going to be great. You're going to love it. So once again, you can get a hold of me on my Radio Realtors hotline anytime at 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Or you can use my live chat option 24/7 at my website, radiorealtors.com. That's radiorealtors.com. Well, today we're looking into a topic that every homeowner needs to understand, and that is home equity. It might sound like a fancy financial term, but let me assure you, if you own a home, understanding equity and how it works can be one of the most powerful tools in your financial toolkit. Home equity not only represents the value of what you own in your property, but it can also open doors to wealth building opportunities that, if used wisely, they can truly transform your financial future. So let's get into the heart of what home equity is, how it works, why it matters, and the smart ways to handle it. And today, I think you're going to leave this, two segments, not only equipped with information, but also with a newfound respect for the financial power that lies within your home. So let's go. Number one, what is home equity? In simple terms, home equity is the difference between the current market value of your home and what you still owe on your mortgage. And as you pay down your mortgage and as the value of your property increases, you build equity. Think of it like this. If you own a home worth $500,000 and you owe $300,000, your equity is $200,000. This equity is essentially your stake in the home, and it represents a substantial asset that can be leveraged in various ways. Now, you might wonder, why does this equity matter? Some people do. I mean, a lot of you already know this, and I know this is Equity 101, but that brings us to an essential aspect of home ownership. Unlike many other assets that lose value over time, think about the car in your driveway, right? Your home can gain value and appreciate as the market grows. Wouldn't that be great if that happened with cars? You drive it off the lot. I mean, I know there's some cars that appreciate in value, but most do not, right? As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth less. But this appreciation in your home, coupled with your mortgage payments, reducing what you owe, means your equity will likely grow over time. And that, folks, is where home ownership shines as a wealth building tool. Number 2 is, how does home equity work? Well, when you buy a home, your mortgage payment represents a partnership between you and your lender. And your initial down payment is your starting stake in the home, while the remaining portion belongs to the lender. For instance, if you put 20% down of the purchase price at closing, you've started with 20% equity in your home. And over time, as you continue making payments on the principal, your equity grows and the lender's share shrinks. It's somewhat like a long-term investment, similar to owning a bond, right? The difference here is, though, that your investment is your home, a tangible asset that you can see, touch, and live in. And while your money is most likely locked in while you own the property, there are ways to access this equity without having to sell. And we'll get into those options very shortly. Now, number 3 is ways to access home equity. So let's talk about ways that you can tap into that equity while still owning your home. There are several financial tools that allow homeowners to use their equity for different purposes. A home equity loan, that's one of the most traditional options. It's a home equity loan, and it's often referred to as a second mortgage, right? And with this, you can take out a loan that's secured by the equity you've built up. And typically, this loan is capped at 80% of your equity, and you'll receive funds as a lump sum, which then you pay back at a fixed interest rate over a set term like 15, 20, or 30 years, right? Home equity loans are generally used for big expenses like home improvement projects that can further increase your home's value. However, this loan carries some risk because it's secured by your property, meaning if you can't make the payments, you could lose your home. Home equity line of credit, or a HELOC. A HELOC works generally like a credit card, or similar to a credit card, in that you get access to a line of credit based on your home's equity. And it's a flexible option if you need funds over time rather than a single lump sum. And it's great for projects where the costs might spread out, like remodeling your house, right? One thing to keep in mind, though, is that HELOCs typically have variable interest rates. So while they can offer low rates initially, those rates can fluctuate over time depending on the market. The last thing is what we call a cash out refinance. And that's the third option. And this involves refinancing your existing mortgage for a larger amount than you currently owe. The new mortgage pays off your original loan, and you get the difference as a cash payment. And this option is popular with homeowners looking to take advantage of lower interest rates, or people who want to maybe change their loan terms, like extending the repayment period. A cash out refinance can be a smart choice for consolidating high interest debt or making home upgrades. Now, we've got to go to break, but if you'd like to get a hold of me, Robert Lewis with the Radio Realtors and eXp Realty, call me now. 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Or you can live chat with a member of my team at RadioRealtors.com. Back after this. It's football season, and I love it. Every team is trying to get to the Super Bowl. But I've never seen a football team win the Super Bowl without a great quarterback. Some traits of a great quarterback are leadership, speed, intelligence, and problem-solving skills. The same thing goes for the game of real estate. You see, your quarterback is your mortgage lender. My first-round draft pick for a lender is Jeff Compton with Guild Mortgage. Jeff has loan options to fit every situation, from down payment assistance programs for first-time home buyers to government-sponsored programs for military families and rural residents, or jumbo loans in high-cost markets. Honesty and integrity are trademarks of Jeff's outstanding service that he provides to all his clients. He's dedicated and committed to doing what it takes until your loan is closed. When you're ready to win, call Jeff Compton, 916-765-2900. Online at jeffcompton.com, NMLS ID number 298997.
After a long week, you finally got some time to yourself. Shouldn't you spend that time having some fun rather than attacking that DIY list? We think so. That's why we recommend Purpose Property Solutions. They're the ultimate affordable handyman service. They do junk removal, hauling, handyman electric, plumbing, interior and exterior home repairs, painting, tree removal, and so much more. Call Purpose Property Solutions today at 916-798-7705. Get your weekend back. Call 916-798-7705.
Hi, this is Jerry, owner of Chim Chimney Professional Fireplace and Home Services, wishing you a happy fall, but reminding you to use your fireplace and clothes dryer safely this winter. House fires are one of the leading causes of death in a home. It is important to have your chimney and dryer vent cleaned by a licensed professional on a yearly basis, according to the NFPA. Give us a call today at 916-247-6579 or schedule 24/7 at thechimchimney.com.
Rob here, reminding you that you can hear all of our shows on the Radio Realtors podcast through Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, and more. Please give the Radio Realtors podcast a 5-star review and share the link with your friends. Access it now at RadioRealtors.com.
Welcome back to the Radio Realtors with Robert Lewis from eXp Realty. If you'd like to talk to Robert directly, call 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Now, here's Robert.
Welcome back to the Radio Realtors. We are Northern California's #1 real estate radio show, proudly coming to you live from the EquityProtect.com studios. And if you own your home free and clear or have thousands of dollars in equity, you need to protect that equity. Go to EquityProtect.com and take your free risk assessment. And if you need to get their full package, their complete protection, I've got a special deal for you. 30% discount from the Radio Realtors. You can get that by going to EquityProtect.com. Enter the discount code ProtectMe30. That's ProtectMe30. I'm Robert Lewis, your real estate professor, and we're talking about home equity and what it is and why it matters. So we're going to do a quick recap. What is home equity? Well, in simple terms, home equity is the difference between the current market value of your home and what you still owe on your mortgage. And an example is if you own a home worth $500,000, you owe $300,000, your equity is $200,000. Now, why does it matter? Well, the cool thing about equity is its appreciation coupled with your mortgage payments that reduces what you owe, meaning that your equity grows over time. And that's where your home ownership becomes even better because it's a wealth building tool for you. And how does it work? Well, when you buy a home, your mortgage payment basically represents a partnership between you and your lender, and your initial down payment is your starting stake in the home, while the remaining portion belongs to the lender. And as time goes by, you continue making payments on the principal, your equity grows, and the lender's share shrinks, and you build even more equity, right? Now, ways to access your equity are a home equity loan, which is like a second mortgage, a home equity line of credit, which is like a line of credit. It's sort of like a credit card. Usually a HELOC has a variable rate, so you have to be a little bit mindful of that type of thing. They have variable interest rates. You can also do a cash out refinance, which is refinancing your existing mortgage for a larger amount than you currently owe. And the new mortgage pays off your original loan, and you get the difference in a cash payment, which you could use for various things. Now, how do you determine your home equity? Well, if you're curious about how much equity you've built up in your home, there are a few ways to get an estimate. Online home equity calculators can provide a rough idea based on market trends and your loan balance. However, for a more accurate picture, you might consider a home appraisal, or better yet, you can call me at 833-32-RADIO. Robert Lewis here. I can help you get a free home equity report to understand the current market value of your home, and it's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. So don't hesitate to reach out. Again, my number is 833-32-RADIO. Now, let's talk about the importance of building home equity. Why is home equity important? Building home equity is one of the most reliable ways to accumulate wealth. When you make mortgage payments, you're paying down debt, while ideally your home's value appreciates. And this creates what we call a forced savings account, where each payment you make increases the value of your asset rather than paying into something that will depreciate like a car. Your home is one of the most significant assets you'll own, making this forced savings an incredibly valuable tool. Equity is also an asset that you can pass on to future generations, creating an opportunity to build wealth beyond just your lifetime. And for most people, their home will be one of the most valuable assets. So growing equity is a fantastic way to solidify your financial foundation. Number 6 is, how does time impact home equity growth? Well, one thing to keep in mind with equity is that it grows over time. Typically, the longer you stay in a home, the more equity you're going to accumulate. Homeowners who plan to stay put for at least 5 years can usually begin to see solid equity growth, often enough to recoup initial purchase costs if they choose to sell. And if the market cools by the time you decide to sell, hanging on until the market favors sellers can also be a smart move to maximize equity. Now, number 7 is what not to do with home equity. You know, home equity is a powerful tool, but it should be handled with care. It's best to use equity for expenses that will improve your financial position in the long term. So avoid spending equity on luxury items or non-essential purchases. Using it for a vacation or a new car or other short-term expenses can deplete an asset that's hard to regain quickly. And while using equity for education expenses can be an option, you want to look into lower interest student loans first. If you're considering also investing your equity into something like the stock market or even buying another property, remember that these investments come with risk. And if things go south, you could be left to make the payments on an asset that didn't generate a return. And in a worst case scenario, you might risk your home. So before tapping into your equity, make sure you're in a stable financial position and you can handle the payments. And equity is a valuable resource, but it requires what we call a thoughtful approach. Number 8 is make sure you protect your equity. And we tell you all the time, there's only one company that we recommend to help you with protecting your hard-earned equity, and that is EquityProtect. EquityProtect goes beyond monitoring to safeguard your title and equity with their patented SMART policy, protecting your home ownership from cyber criminals and fraud. And most title law companies, they merely monitor your title and then inform you after something bad has happened. EquityProtect is totally different. They stop tampering, fraud, or theft of your title or equity from happening in the first place. So take your free risk assessment at equityprotect.com. You're going to hear a little bit more about, well, a lot more about it coming up because we have Jim Adams coming onto the show. But if you take that assessment and you discover you're low risk, then sign up for Equity Protect's completely free title monitoring. If you're medium to high risk, sign up for their complete coverage, which will cost you just pennies a day. Go to equityprotect.com and please tell them that the Radio Realtors sent you. So there you have it. Home equity, what it is, why it matters, and you're going to learn even more about how to protect it. But home equity isn't just a line item on a financial statement, folks. It's an asset that represents years of hard work and potential future security. And whether you're a new homeowner or someone who's been in their home for years, understanding your equity, how it can work for you, and when to use it strategically can unlock a world of financial opportunities. And if you're curious about how much equity you have, or you want to explore options to make the most of it, I'm here to help. Robert Lewis with eXp Realty. Give me a call, 833-32-RADIO, for a free home equity report. And remember, equity is one of the key ways to build wealth through home ownership, so treat it with care and respect. And don't go anywhere. I'll be back talking more of how to protect your equity with Jim Adams, co-founder and president of EquityProtect.
AC, heat, and plumbing, you just call Lee's. It's easy as calling Lee's. Lee's AC, Lee's AC, plumbing and heat, yeah.
Robert Lewis here from the Radio Realtors, and my friends at Lee's have some great deals for you AM1380 The Answer listeners. First, it's the Lee's AC tune-up for just $49. That's a $50 savings. Lee's expert AC technicians will perform a 26-point precision tune-up and make sure your system is running right. And if you want peace of mind all year long, sign up for Lee's Club Advantage program. Priority service, twice-a-year tune-ups, safety checks, air filter replacement upon tune-up, indoor quality air tests, and a visual plumbing inspection. All for just $24.99 a month. For either deal, mention The Answer at leesair.com. That's leesair.com. Okay, singers.
AC heat and plumbing, you just call Lee's. It's easy as calling Lee's. Lee's AC, Lee's AC, plumbing and heat, yeah. Lee's AC.
Okay, honey, I'm done with your cleaning list. Wash the windows.
Check.
Power wash the patio.
Check.
Cleaned the outdoor furniture.
Check.
Now for some me time.
What about cleaning the trash bin?
Nope, I didn't do that one.
Well, it's got to be done.
But they look and they smell really bad.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I heard on the radio about a local family-owned company called Ben Levin Clean Bins.
Wow, here they are. Ben Levin Clean Bins. It says they use a combination of hot water and high pressure to clean the bins. And they sanitize, deodorize, and disinfect them.
That sounds amazing.
And check this out. Ben Levin Clean Bins also has great reviews, and their service is really affordable. So, babe, can I hire them so I can finish off your cleaning list?
Of course, honey.
Awesome!
Enjoy 50% off your first cleaning with promo code FreshStart50. That's promo code FreshStart50. Hurry, limited time only. Discount available on all recurring plans. Book your cleaning now at benlovincleanbins.com.
Larry Elder here, the great Eldersky, and I'm so happy to be back on AM 1380 The Answer. Did you know that because of our current administration, 86% of U.S. renters would like to buy a home, but they feel they can't? It's a sad situation, but as my father, Randolph Elder, said, hard work wins. You can't control the outcome, but you can control the effort. How do you control the effort if you want to buy a home in Northern California? You call the Dream Team, the Robert Lewis Group, with EXP Realty. Check it out. Darren and Teresa had been renting for years, and they wanted to buy a home for their family of 4, and even though they thought it was a lost cause, they made the call to Rob and his team. And in just a few days, they were pre-approved and out looking at homes. Rob found them the perfect home, negotiated a great price, and in just 21 days, they had the keys to their dream home. Hard work wins, so call Rob today at 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Online at radiorealtors.com. That's radiorealtors.com, DRE number 01406275.
Welcome back to the Radio Realtors with Robert Lewis from eXp Realty. If you'd like to talk to Robert directly, call 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. And now, here's Robert.
All right, welcome to the show. I'm Robert Lewis, and one thing we like to do on the show is help you understand that you need to take care of yourself. And unfortunately, in this day and age, there's nobody out there that's going to protect you and your interests. So what we're saying here is that you have to make some effort to protect yourself. And there are some good people out there that can help you protect yourself and your home and those things. And my next guest is one of those people. He understands completely that 90% of us Americans, our largest asset is our real estate and the equity in our homes. And most people, work their whole lives to pay off their homes. And in many cases, we completely ignore that equity. We don't protect it. So in the studio today, with an entire business model that has been made to protect and monitor your deed and your title and your equity, is Jim Adams. He's a co-founder and president of EquityProtect. How are you, Jim? Thanks for being on the show.
Good. Thanks for having me again.
So I think your company, EquityProtect, provides really an invaluable service to millions of Americans. They just need to know about it. So how do we get this out there so that we can show how different EquityProtect is versus just these monitoring companies?
Well, first I think it's the understanding and education of individuals to know that there's a difference between monitoring and protecting. When you monitor, it basically is notifying you that something has occurred on your property and that you need to take action. Versus protection keeps that thing from happening to where you don't have to take action. You already did it. You took action by getting your property protected. And so I think it's really important to educate people on the difference between monitoring and truly protecting.
I know through my own years of being a real estate agent and investing in real estate, it's a staggering statistic out there. How many people have their equity and their homes stolen from them, Jim?
The number is growing exponentially each year. I think Originally in 2019, when we got the first statistics, it was, millions of dollars. In 2023, they haven't come out with the stats yet, but the last ones that they did was 2022, and it was a little over $400 million had been stolen in deed and equity fraud.
It's amazing, and it seems to me like that number is definitely growing every single year. What does it look like when your title is encumbered by thieves, when they falsify like a quitclaim deed or something like that? I mean, is it super sophisticated, this crime, or how does it work?
No, it's very simple to commit. It's as easy as recording a document with the county recorder. It truly is that easy. I don't want to get into the specifics of how to do it to where we're educating on the crime, but it is a very simple crime to commit, and it takes minutes.
And that's part of the problem, right, is that some of the competitors that you guys have in this e-fraud space were actually, during the pandemic, fraudsters on how to commit the crime, right?
Bullet point by bullet point. Yeah, it was scary how deep they got into how to commit this crime, and it perpetuated. You get on the dark web and you can see step-by-step instructions, including property lists that are on the dark web that people can use to commit the crime.
The big difference for you guys versus these monitoring companies is that they merely monitor and then tell you after something bad has happened to your title. You guys physically prevent the crime from occurring, right?
Correct. I liken it a lot to credit lock, but for your home title.
Okay.
Credit lock will notify you that, hey, somebody's pulled credit. Is this you pulling credit? You can notify the credit company back. Yes, it's me. No, it's not me. We do almost the exact same thing. So when we see a financial crime beginning to be perpetuated against the homeowner, we're notified. We then notify the homeowner, say, hey, are you trying to refinance or are you trying to sell your home? Yes or no. If they say yes, great. We create what's needed to help them progress in that transaction. If they say no, we notify title that this is a fraudulent transaction.
So in that type of situation, when title is notified, say this is a fraudulent transaction, are these people apprehended, or is it just stopping the crime from happening and everybody goes their merry way? Is that what happens normally?
Yeah, typically it's stopping the crime. Most of these are overseas. They impersonate that they're from here. I mean, there was one with Graceland.
Right. Yeah. That's Elvis's property, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So to talk about that real quick.
Sure. It was a fraudulent note that was placed on the home. And eventually it came out in court that it was fraud. And, again, how much money was spent on attorneys to protect them from this type of crime. The person that created or committed the crime was interviewed and said, oh, we're doing this all over the place. And it works 90% of the time. Eventually, one of the individuals that was part of the crime was caught and prosecuted.
Right.
But that is rare. We just don't see it.
And it's just crazy to think something like Graceland, the Presley estate could have completely lost that property.
Exactly.
And they might not have been able to get it back.
Yeah. Years ago, somebody did with the Empire State Building. They transferred the ownership of the Empire State Building to themselves, and they were doing it to show that the crime could be committed. So nothing ever happened on it, but it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, folks, we're talking with Jim Adams. He's a co-founder and president of EquityProtect. EquityProtect.com is the place for you to go to take that free risk assessment. They've got a free risk assessment right on their website that you can find out your level of risk on your property. In addition to that, if let's say you're low risk, after you take that free risk assessment, you can get free title monitoring with them. And that's what you're actually paying for with these other services out there. And there's several that do it, but they're just merely monitoring services. They will do it for free at EquityProtect for you. And then if you're, let's say, medium to high risk, you want to sign up for their full protection, and you can get that for just pennies a day. But go to their website, EquityProtect.com. That's EquityProtect.com. Jim, let's do an example. Like, let's say if a home has a mortgage on it and the mortgage is lower than the equity amount. So let's say a guy's got a $600,000 home. He owes $150,000 on a mortgage that he hasn't really paid attention to. He's just paying it off. He's got his payment on automatic payment through his account. Can somebody, unbeknownst to him, maybe take out an equity line on the home or something like that? I mean, is that a possibility for somebody?
It is a possibility. It's not a lower risk. It's going to fall into our medium to medium high risk. But there's two things I could do to go get his equity. I'm not going to go through it again of how to do it, but there is a way that I could impersonate that person and take out a HELOC loan. And there's also a way that I could actually transfer his property to myself and then go get that HELOC loan.
And you had a gentleman also that I guess he owned vacant land in like Incline Village.
Correct.
And he was an absentee owner, and somebody came along and impersonated him, and they ended up selling that property.
Yeah.
And he didn't find out until after he got notified from the title company that the transaction is already
closing documents.
Yeah, here's your closing documents. Congratulations on a successful sale. Now, most likely he's going to be able to get that property back, and he's going to not lose his money.
Correct.
But the time and effort that it's going to take to do that, and on your website is amazing, because you do have these horror stories, is what I call them. But there's people that maybe they're elderly and they own their home free and clear. Maybe they're in a care home and that home is just sitting there and they're trying to figure out what to do with it. And somebody comes in and sells the property or starts renting it out, or there's so many things that can happen.
Let's take the Incline Village story a little farther. What if the purchaser had built a home? The property owner didn't find out about it for years, and all of a sudden, new owners come in, they build a home, or a contractor comes in, builds a home, sells it to a new buyer.
Sure.
Now look at all the parties involved in this type of, fraud.
It's a giant mess. Yeah. And it could take years and so much stress. That's what I look at.
Correct.
If you own your home free and clear, or you have thousands and thousands of dollars in equity, you really need to protect that. Because like we were talking about before the show, you have an alarm system on your home. You might have a Ring doorbell or something like that to protect your home. You might have a safe. You've got smoke detectors. You've got CO2 detectors. You got all these things, to safeguard your home. But then you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity, and you leave that completely unprotected. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Agreed. It's like you were talking about. There's an alarm system. There's a few other things on the house. But what do? We always lock our door when we leave.
Sure. Yeah, you don't just leave it wide open with your alarm on, right?
And that's really the protection that EquityProtect forms, is we're the lock on the door. You could have all these other protections, but without the lock on the door, you're opening yourself up.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, Jim, let's say, God forbid, this happens to somebody. A criminal tries to tamper with or steal your equity, but the homeowner is smart and they've signed up for EquityProtect. What happens in this case normally?
So typically what will happen is when that financial crime is occurring, a title company is involved. Title company runs a chain of title, and they'll see our document that we're recording against the property, which is a copywritten, patented type of document. They notify us, hey, we need your permission to remove this document. We contact the homeowner and say, are you really trying to refinance your property or sell your property? If the answer is yes, then we create the waiver that allows that transaction to progress. If they say no, we notify the title company that you have a fraudulent transaction here.
The biggest difference is that during the pandemic, there were these criminals that were looking for unique and interesting ways to steal from people, stealing some of their biggest assets. And that was the equity in their home or their homes completely. There's been people that have been forced out of their homes because somebody sold it out from under them, right? Well, you can have a monitoring service monitor and then tell you when something bad has happened, and then you have to deal with it at that point. Or you can have a company that completely prevents it from happening. That is EquityProtect. That is the difference. Now, we've got to go to break, but if you'd like to take your free risk assessment with EquityProtect, you just go to their website. It's equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com. Take that free risk assessment, and like Jim said, if you're low risk, you can just sign up for their free monitoring. And the other companies out there in this space charge you for the monitoring, and that's all they do is monitor, but they're charging you for that. EquityProtect will do it for free. And then maybe one day you have more equity and you're in that medium to high risk. And from there, you would want to sign up for their whole service. But if you're in that medium to high risk, go ahead and sign up for just pennies a day. You are fully protected at equityprotect.com. Now, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more with Jim Adams, the co-founder and president of EquityProtect, right after this. It's football season, and I love it. Every team is trying to get to the Super Bowl. but I've never seen a football team win the Super Bowl without a great quarterback. Some traits of a great quarterback are leadership, speed, intelligence, and problem-solving skills. The same thing goes for the game of real estate. You see, your quarterback is your mortgage lender. My first-round draft pick for a lender is Jeff Compton with Guild Mortgage. Jeff has loan options to fit every situation, from down payment assistance programs for first-time home buyers to government-sponsored programs for military families and rural residents, or jumbo loans in high-cost markets. Honesty and integrity are trademarks of Jeff's outstanding service that he provides to all his clients. He's dedicated and committed to doing what it takes until your loan is closed. When you're ready to win, call Jeff Compton, 916-765-2900, online at jeffcompton.com, NMLS ID number 298997.
After a long week, you finally got some time to yourself. Shouldn't you spend that time having some fun rather than attacking that DIY list? We think so. That's why we recommend Purpose Property Solutions. They're the ultimate affordable handyman service. They do junk removal, hauling, handyman electric, plumbing, interior and exterior home repairs, painting, tree removal, and so much more. Call Purpose Property Solutions today at 916-798-7705. Get your weekend back. Call 916-798-7705.
Hi, this is Jerry, owner of Chim Chimney Professional Fireplace and Home Services, wishing you a happy fall, but reminding you to use your fireplace and clothes dryer safely this winter. House fires are one of the leading causes of death in a home. It is important to have your chimney and dryer vent cleaned by a licensed professional on a yearly basis, according to the NFPA. Give us a call today at 916-247-6579 or schedule 24/7 at thechimchimney.com.
Rob here, reminding you that you can hear all of our shows on the Radio Realtors podcast through Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, and more. Please give the Radio Realtors podcast a 5-star review and share the link with your friends. Access it now at RadioRealtors.com.
Welcome back to the Radio Realtors with Robert Lewis from eXp Realty. If you'd like to talk to Robert directly, call 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. And now, here's Robert.
All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Robert Lewis, your host, and we are talking to Jim Adams. He's the co-founder and president of EquityProtect. EquityProtect is the only company out there that completely protects you from equity theft, house stealing, title fraud. And the reason is that they are not just a monitoring service like the other people in this space. They are actually a preventative measure that you can take to completely stop this crime from occurring. Jim, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. I wanted to ask you, we did get a caller that called in and said, hey, can you tell us the difference between home title insurance and EquityProtect? And I was curious about that. So when you buy a home, you get title insurance. What's the difference between that and what you guys do at EquityProtect?
Sure. That's a great question. Let's start by a little bit of history with title insurance. First off, I would recommend anyone buying a house today, get title insurance.
Sure.
Some people will tell you, oh, you don't need title insurance. Don't worry about it. You know, it'll save you some money. Don't do that. Don't listen to them. Buy title insurance. Additionally, if you're given the opportunity to buy what they call enhanced, or some of them call it their exceptional policy or whatever, there's an enhanced type of policy. And in different markets, it's anywhere from 10% to 25% more. So if you're paying $1,000 for the policy, another $100, you get this enhanced policy. So back in 2006, they created this new policy, the American Land Title Association. They have their standard policy and their homeowner's policy. The standard policy, which is what many people get today even, is a policy that protects you up into the point of closing. So anything that occurred prior to your closing, they protect you on. Once the property closes, so post-close forgery, you're not protected. However, if you did buy the enhanced policy, you are protected from that type of forgery. The policy is only available on certain property types. It's not available on vacant land. It's not available on rural land with a home on it. So there's some areas where that type of policy is not available to you. Additionally, before 2006, the policy wasn't around. So if you're somebody that's lived in your home 30, 40 years, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have that type of protection. So the best way to look at title coverage is title insurance protects you from anything that happened to your title prior to you buying it.
Okay.
So you couldn't have a sibling from somebody come back and say, hey, my brother sold, our parents' house without my knowledge, and that's my house. Title insurance would protect you.
Okay.
Going forward, after the close of transaction, if you haven't bought the enhanced policy, you have no protection. So going forward, if somebody, fraudulently signs a deed or records a deed against your property, you have no protection using that title policy.
We don't want to educate people on how to commit this crime.
Correct.
Obviously, but literally, if a document was forged, as long as it was notarized properly and everything looked, normal, if you took that to the county recorder's office, don't they legally have to record the document?
They are bound by law to record it as long as it meets all their specifications.
Yeah, so as long as everything looks good on that, they're not going to check to see if the signature is correct or anything like that, because that's what the notary should have done, right? To make sure that it was all legit.
Really what they're looking for is there a legal description? Is the vesting correct? Those type of things. And if they are, then...
I think that it's almost like they should make it a requirement for everybody to have Equity Protect. I honestly do. But if you want to get your free risk assessment on your home, you can go to EquityProtect.com. That's EquityProtect.com. You were at break, you were talking about an example of a gentleman who I guess he went to a reunion, like a high school reunion or something. Can you kind of elaborate on that story? Because I think it's very interesting and it's sad, too. But it's an interesting story that kind of proves the point of having Equity Protect.
It kind of went along with the Incline Village story, but the gentleman went to he inherited his parents' home. Next to the parents' home was a vacant lot that the parents had bought in the 70s or 80s, and the kids grew up playing on that vacant lot.
So it's like Sandlot. They're playing like baseball and stuff, yeah.
He went to a high school reunion, and some of the kids went, man, I can't believe you sold the lot next to your parents' house that we grew up on. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They go, well, there's a house built there. And he's, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm telling you, I drove by it the other day. There's a house on that lot. So he leaves the high school reunion and goes over there. And sure enough, there's a house built on the lot that he owned. So he knocked on the door and found out that a builder had purchased the lot and built the home, and these buyers had bought the house. And so now they're in a big legal battle because he wants the house torn down and the lot put back to the way it was when he was a child. There's going to be big legal battles of, is that the way, standing in the way of progress? Does he have to, leave it alone and get paid? It's going to be a fight.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So this guy goes by his parents' property. There's a home there now. It's like a big mess. So in this case, if let's just say the parents had Equity Protect in place, that wouldn't have ever happened, right?
Correct. Yeah. So what would have happened was the builder would have gotten a call, or the person listing the property. When it got into escrow, the builder would have found out that, hey, this is a fraudulent transaction, because they would have contacted us and said, we need you to remove your document. We would have contacted the true property owner and said, are you really trying to sell your property? The guy would have told us, no, I'm not selling my property. And so the builder wouldn't have been defrauded, and neither would the buyers from the builder.
So folks, if you have high equity, or you own your home free and clear, or you have a piece of vacant land and you own that free and clear and you're just leaving it there for maybe development one day for your family, or it's like a legacy, it's an inheritance for somebody, you want to protect that. And the only company that truly does that 100% is Equity Protect. They're the only company that we endorse. But go to equityprotect.com, take that free risk assessment today, find out where you are on the risk level. If you're low risk, then sign up for their free monitoring. If you're medium to high risk, sign up for their complete protection. And that will protect you 365 days a year, 24/7. You won't have to even check it once you have protected with Equity Protect. So basically, a fraudster, a criminal, they call a real estate agent and they say, I have this property, maybe I live out of state, and the real estate agent looks up the property, sees it, this person that, is saying that they're the owner, and then they ultimately list the property, they find a buyer, and then as a seller, normally they're somewhere out of the country, right? I mean, 9 out of 10 times. It's
usually, yes. But that's common for us to see that in the title industry. There's
people
a lot
go on
of time,
vacation all the time, right?
Yep, they leave the country when they're selling their home for some reason.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon for us to send documents to an American consulate in a country and have somebody go in there and get notarized. So that's not an odd thing for us. The other thing is to think about, let's say you're a property owner and you have several rentals and I rent one of them. I go get a fake ID under your name. I call a real estate agent, say, I own this property. I'd like to list it. They don't know that it's a rental. They can hold open houses there. They can do all sorts of things. When I go to my signing, I have a fake ID. A notary doesn't validate my ID. They're just looking that the ID matches what the name is. They don't run it through a scanner. They don't validate it in any way. So there's another way there to commit the fraud. Important for people that have multiple rentals or even a rental that does Airbnb that own the property free and clear. Those are prime suspects for this type of fraud.
So we've got a text on our hotline number and it says, if I have a trust, am I safe from this crime occurring to me?
Not at all.
Really? Okay. So why is that?
If they can fraudulently do documents, they can fraudulently do trust documents, or what we look for in the title world is a trust cert. So they would say, oh yeah, I'm part of that trust. Here's my trust cert. I'm the executor of the trust. Here's all my documentation. So I own a title company. About a month ago, we had one that was a trust and we got down close to closing. And when the fraudulent individual provided us the trust cert, there were some things that tipped me off that the cert was fraudulent. Won't disclose what those were, but it tipped me off right away. And this is fraud. And so when we started asking more questions, the individual disappeared. And then we got in contact with the real property owner. He was very thankful that we did our job. So trust doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form with that.
So we're talking to Jim Adams. Jim Adams is the co-owner and he's a co-founder and the president of EquityProtect. EquityProtect is the only company of its kind that truly prevents equity theft, deed fraud, house stealing, and we're seeing it all over the place on the news, people being forced out of their homes, people having their accounts drained, their equity stolen, and there are so many ways that you can protect yourself for all different types of things. You're driving a car with airbags. You've got an alarm system on your home, but most people don't have prevention for their biggest asset, which is their home. And that's like 90% of Americans, right?
I would agree. Yeah. Majority of people's wealth is in the equity of their home or their other properties.
They can go to your website. It's equityprotect.com, take that free risk assessment. And if they're low risk, they can do what?
If they're low risk, just sign up for the property monitoring.
And that's free,
it's
right?
Free. Yeah. So we'll notify you if anything odd goes on. And it's good to have. What if you get a fraudulent IRS lien? I tell a story of my father went to sell a property one time and he had an IRS lien and it was his name, his last name, wrong middle initial. But it held up his closing because he had to get proof that wasn't him. So it's a good way to monitor for things that pop up. Child support liens sometimes get placed on the wrong property. IRS liens get placed on the wrong property. So you can keep a lookout on your property for just fraudulent liens that pop up. But again, it's free of charge. The other companies out there are charging around $200 a year for that, but we do it for free.
Awesome. So go to equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com. Take the free risk assessment. Find out your level of risk. Like Jim said, if you're low risk, sign up for their free title monitoring. If you are medium to high risk, sign up for their complete protection at equityprotect.com, equityprotect.com. Any last words before we wrap up the show?
Sure. I think what we want to do is offer any listener of the show today a 30% discount on their first year. So if they use the promo code on our website, ProtectMe30, they'll get 30% off of our first year subscription.
That is awesome. So if you'd like to get 30% off your first year with total protection at EquityProtect, just go to equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com and enter the promo code ProtectMe30. That's awesome. ProtectMe30. Hey, thanks, Jim, for being on the show.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Radio Realtors with Robert Lewis from eXp Realty. To reach Robert, just call 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Or live chat with a member of our team anytime at radiorealtors.com. The Radio Realtors, where we make real estate real easy.
AC Heat and Plumbing, you just call Lee's. It's easy as calling Lee's. Lee's AC, Lee's AC, Plumbing and Heat, yeah.
Robert Lewis here from the Radio Realtors, and my friends at Lee's have some great deals for you AM1380 The Answer listeners. First, it's the Lee's AC tune-up for just $49. That's a $50 savings. Lee's expert AC technicians will perform a 26-point precision tune-up and make sure your system is running right. And if you want peace of mind all year long, sign up for Lee's Club Advantage program. Priority service, twice-a-year tune-ups, safety checks, air filter replacement upon tune-up, indoor quality air tests, and a visual plumbing inspection. All for just $24.99 a month. For either deal, mention The Answer at leesair.com. That's leesair.com. Okay, singers.
AC Heat and Plumbing, you just call Lee's. It's easy as calling Lee's. Lee's AC, Lee's AC, Plumbing and Heat, yeah. Lee's AC.
Okay, honey, I'm done with your cleaning list. Wash the windows.
Check.
Power wash the patio.
Check.
Cleaned the outdoor furniture.
Check.
Now for some me time.
What about cleaning the trash bin?
Nope, I didn't do that one.
Well, it's got to be done.
But they look and they smell really bad.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I heard on the radio about a local family-owned company called Ben Levin Clean Bins.
Wow, here they are. Ben Levin Clean Bins. It says they use a combination of hot water and high pressure to clean the bins. And they sanitize, deodorize, and disinfect them.
That sounds amazing.
And check this out. Ben Levin Clean Bins also has great reviews, and their service is really affordable. So, babe, can I hire them so I can finish off your cleaning list?
Of course, honey.
Awesome.
Enjoy 50% off your first cleaning with promo code FreshStart50. That's promo code FreshStart50. Hurry, limited time only. Discount available on all recurring plans. Book your cleaning now at BenLevinCleanBins.com.
Larry Elder here, the great Eldrisky, and I'm so happy to be back on AM 1380 The Answer. Did you know that because of our current administration, 86% of U.S. renters would like to buy a home, but they feel they can't? It's a sad situation, but as my father, Randolph Elder, said, hard work wins. You can't control the outcome, but you can control the effort. How do you control the effort if you want to buy a home in Northern California? You call the Dream Team, the Robert Lewis Group, with EXP Realty. Check it out. Darren and Teresa had been renting for years, and they wanted to buy a home for their family of 4, and even though they thought it was a lost cause, they made the call to Rob and his team. And in just a few days, they were pre-approved and out looking at homes. Rob found them the perfect home, negotiated a great price, and in just 21 days, they had the keys to their dream home. Hard work wins. So call Rob today at 833-32-RADIO. That's 833-32-RADIO. Online at radiorealtors.com. That's radiorealtors.com. DRE number 01406275.